I'm not a racist, preach the teacher. You still they never had this. Number one, them wanna run about the gun. I wasn't licensed to have one. The minute they see me, fear me. I'm the epitome, a public enemy. Use, abuse, without clues. I refuse to blow fuse. They even had it on the news. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. Back when I wrote y'all, yes.
I wanted to spend a little time as we were talking about folk messing with elections because history is a great barometer. November 10th, 1898. Yeah, I'm going all the way back because we don't do enough of that. On November 8th, let me go before the 10th. On November 8th, 1898, New Hanover County's Democrats used threats and intimidation to stop Black people from voting. This is Wilmington, North Carolina. North Carolina is still pivotal to this day. Now, when I say Democratic Party, think today's Republicans. And this, I think we don't spend enough time talking about the Southern strategy, talking about that the Democratic Party was the party of enslavement. It was the party of the Confederacy. It was the party of, racism, birth of a nation. That was the party. And then something happened when the Republicans realized that we are losing. We need those Southern whites. So they developed a strategy to bring those racist people into the fold. And that then shifted the party to the party of that, right? So the party of Lincoln turned into the old Southern Confederacy, which is why you have a Marjorie Taylor Greene and a Lauren Boebert and a Matt Gaetz and a DeSantis and all of these horrible ass people in the Republican Party because the party shifted. So when we talk about, and you hear this a lot with folk who are ignorant beyond belief. Well, the Democrats enslaved Black people, and why are y'all on the plantation and all this stuff? It's like, tell me you've never read or understood history or read for comprehension when you open your mouth and say stuff like that. It means you don't understand where we are, okay, and how we got there. Yes, Martin Luther King Jr.'s father was a registered Republican because most Black people out of enslavement were Republicans because that was the party of Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, etc. Actually, Clay Cane in The Grift breaks it down. You ain't got to listen to me. Go get the book. Best-selling author, Clay Cane. And then we had, I think Kennedy was the first that kind of like broke the mold. And it was like the first Irish Catholic. Think about how wild that is, that an Irish Catholic ran for president and Joe Biden is only the second. that all you're proud Irish people, you should be proud and Irish as Ireland's going through its crack epidemic. I feel like there is an alignment. It's always been about the Irish and the Black. And then they just gave the Irish the badges to go police the Black bodies to give them one up on the Blacks. But we were in the same condition when we both got here. One was indentured, the other were enslaved, but they both had the same condition, and we were banding together. And the power structure said, "Oh no, we need to create whiteness because they're going to outnumber us, and they know how to kick ass and river dance." Shoot, let's bring the white people in and call them white and give them a badge and let them be the patty rollers and the overseers and make them better. They're better. Let them whip we don't even have to do anything. We just tell them they're better and then they'll do all of the work. But it's still, the Irish were dogs and all the things, right? Until they weren't. And then the Italians came in, they became the dogs, and, this whiteness waxed and waned. But Kennedy was the first. It was like, oh my God. And then Bobby, they'd kill him, kill the other Kennedy, and then it became a thing. And now we got Robert. I'm going to say less about that. But in 1898, in Wilmington, North Carolina, November 8th, the Democratic Party, think Republican, think MAGA Republican, because that's something different. MAGA Republican is not, small government, Jack Kemp, Mitt Romney. It's not even Reagan, who was a horrible person. It's not even Nixon. This is Confederacy. This is the Northern aggression, war of North. This is flying Confederate flags, wearing a Nazi swastika. This is tiki torch carrying. The Jews will not replace. This is this Republican Party, right? So think Hanover County MAGA using threats and intimidation to stop Black people from voting in a very steamy election in North Carolina, 1898, right? And we just keep fighting because it takes forever. We were just talking yesterday. Women's suffrage took 70 years, 7-0. And it didn't include Black women from the inception. We had to write ourselves into the future. We had to make sure that we were seen and heard. Didn't include us at all. Katie Stanton and them, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, they didn't want Black women to have rights. Hell, no, it was not about us. But it has to be about us. We have to make it about us. So for a year, so from 1897, this MAGA party decided in North Carolina to embark on a white supremacy. I'm going to call it white nationalism. I'm going to call it white terrorism campaign. We're going to have to change the language. I'm doing this in real time. I'm rewriting this to reflect what actually was happening. They decided to embark on a white terrorism campaign to try to drive populists and what we would know as Democrats today, politicians out of office for the 1898 election. The campaign used speeches, think Trump rallies, propaganda cartoons, think Twitter, and the threat of violence, think January 6th, which wasn't just a threat, they executed to create support for this new white nationalism, this white terrorism, right? So they were recruiting. It culminated on the 8th, on election day. And by the 10th, here's what they did. One of the first acts. For 2 days, the election was contested. A mob of white men marched to the office of the Daily Record. So instead of the Capitol, they went to the Daily Record. What was the Daily Record? You in the back. Daily Record. Yes. It was the only Black-owned newspaper. One of the most prominent Black-owned newspapers in Wilmington, maybe in the entire country. And you know what they did to the Daily Record? They set it on fire. And there are pictures of them smiling, much the way they smile when they lynch people with their children. Hundreds of people standing there, burnt it to the ground, standing among the ashes, smiling, taking pictures because they're proud. This is recruiting, right? Why would they burn the Black newspaper? Why would they do that? I'm going to talk about this today because as I sit here, I have run away from journalism during the 10 years I've been on these airwaves. I cannot get it out of my spirit because truth is at the foundation of who I am as a person. But, you know, the need for somebody to hold people accountable for the things that come out of their mouths is important. And journalism was doing that. I wonder how powerful the Daily Record must have been. And we need probably a documentary on the Daily Record. I don't see too many stories. You probably have never heard of the Daily Record in Wilmington, North Carolina. If you're in North Carolina, if you're from North Carolina, have you ever heard of the Daily Record? And if you haven't, why haven't you? How powerful was this newspaper that one of the first things these terrorists did was burn it down? Why would they burn it down? A Black newspaper.
My days are cooler, nights are warmer, and I put the blame on you. Time moves slow, but my heart beats faster. When these eyes are looking right at you, you give me something to believe in, just what I needed. You're the closest.